Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, we find out how to be more productive. It's easier than you think. A look at the Australian-made innovators, RØDE microphones, and the grounds of Alexandria share their tips for business victory. Hey, we're back. The 10th season of Kochie's Business Builders, and I can't believe it's been a decade since we started. What an amazing journey we've had, meeting hundreds of inspiring business owners right across the country. We've certainly come a long way in 10 years. I, for one, had more hair back then. It's been an absolute privilege, so a huge thank you to all of your support. We couldn't have done it without you all. And what an exciting time to be alive and in business. The number of active businesses in Australia has increased for the second year in a row, with small business making up over 2 million of them. Now, if you're wondering what they all do, the majority of small business in Australia are construction-based, while most new businesses are in accommodation and food services. It's interesting stuff. So there are plenty of small businesses out there. We've got a great community here and online, and we can't wait to bring you the best in small business news, advice and inspiration. And of course, we'll have a bit of fun along the way as well. Today, we hear from RØDE Microphones' Peter Friedman, who says that before becoming a success, he made every mistake in the book twice. I love the guy. We also visit the grounds of Alexandria for some business tips, and I answer one of your burning business questions. First up, though, time management expert Kate Christie chats to Alexandra Riggs from Oobi Children's Clothes. Let's get into it. Always the entrepreneur, Alexandra Riggs' first foray into the business world was at local markets, where she sold her own giftware. The 41-year-old noticed that children's wear and children's gifts always flew off the shelves. So when she saw a gap in the market, she decided to try and fill it.
We design garments for newborns up to 12 years, all girls. I design the fabrics.
The inspiration for the brand came from Riggs's fashion designer mother, who had a store in Melbourne in the 60s called Oobi. When she started her own Oobi, Riggs admits she took a big leap designing fabric prints and clothing styles herself.
We also do a lot of hand embroidery.
I was going to say,
a lot of hand skills, hand crafts. Yeah.
That is incredible.
Thank you.
So people are getting this product, and it's not sort of just a factory produced. It's actually
no. It's all screen printed. It's handmade embroidery.
The children's clothing retail industry expects to be $3.3 billion this year. This has been supported by increases in the population of kids and government incentives.
You're based in Sydney, but where do you retail?
We retail all over Australia, and we also export as well. So our biggest export market is Brazil.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's unexpected, but I think considering how bright and how summery the garments are, it makes a lot of sense.
As with many small business owners, Alex is used to wearing all the hats in the business.
I do everything from designing the fabrics and the garments, but also other things like making sure that everything that we put out into the public is aesthetically in keeping with the brand.
What sort of challenges are you finding in terms of managing your own productivity to make sure that you're focusing on the right things?
I think that part of my problem is that I'm not great at managing my time. Sometimes it feels a little bit like everything's equally important, and I know that that's not true, but I feel like everything has to be perfect when it goes out, and I feel like I'm often micromanaging that.
You've got to have a really smart to-do list.
Okay.
And a smart to-do list is you plan the night before, write down what your 3 priorities are for tomorrow.
Okay.
Lots of people often will start the day on email, or they'll check their messages.
Yeah.
So by knowing the night before what the tasks are, and then starting the day on that key task before you even open your email, You're setting the day to your agenda.
Absolutely, that makes so much sense. I know you can become a slave to your email, right, and check it way too often.
Absolutely.
It's always a distraction.
It's a constant distraction. And on average, the average smartphone user will check their phone 85 times a day. And 55% of those checks are just a 30-second or less.
Right.
So what that means is you're constantly going to your phone, which means you've got a constant distraction.
And multitasking has been shown to reduce our productivity by up to 40%.
Even if you just focus for 30 minutes, set your timer and focus really hard for that 30 minutes without checking your phone, and then give yourself a break. The important thing about that is that you're checking it when you want to check it.
So sort of timed distractions.
Timed distractions,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay,
I mean, you've got
that
to
makes
give your
sense.
head a little bit of a break, and you know you've got to check your emails, but do them in a batch, and so you're able to better single focus, and your productivity will improve significantly.
We'll be back to get some more super time-saving tips from Kate, but right now let's dive into music and news. You need energy to run your business, but what you don't need is to be paying through the roof for it. Buy energy-efficient equipment. They may be a little more expensive, but will be worth it. That includes laptops, which can use 90% less energy than desktop computers. Find ways to heat and cool your workplace without the need for the big expense of aircon. Automate your tech so it's only on when you need it and turns off when you don't. Finally, head to smallbusinessfirst.com.au, the new small business community getting you exclusive offers to help save money. Energy Australia is offering up to 37% discounts on electricity and gas, plus a gift card up to $250 just for signing up. But you'll need to be fast. This offer runs until the 13th of October. After the break, we find out how RØDE microphones became one of the biggest companies in the world in its industry. You won't believe how they started. It's been a huge roller coaster ride, so hold on to your hats and don't go anywhere. Peter Friedman started RØDE microphones out of desperation to get out of trouble. From its humble beginnings in the 1990s, RØDE microphones has gone from strength to strength on the global stage and now exports to over 100 countries. That's a well-stamped passport. The company recently doubled the size of its state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Sydney. So, best of all, it's all made right here in Australia. Let's check it out.
The power of RØDE is the brand. It's known everywhere. There's not a city in the world where you can't buy it. Out of desperation to get out of trouble is how RØDE started. I was in financial difficulties after having borrowed a lot of money in the late 80s. Banks were lending like crazy. So I borrowed like crazy on a stupid business thing, and it smashed into a wall. So yeah, it was through desperation. That's how RØDE began. When I realised I'd made it was when I managed to sell into the US, and I just happened to have access to a low-cost microphone at the right time. So right place at the right time, and need to make money, and went for it, and luckily it worked. It was priced well, and we were good to deal with. If you smile, you'll sell it. You know, that's what I tell them. And then if you have excellence in your heart, you'll keep improving and improving and improving, and that's what I did. My dream then was, if I can sell 500 microphones a year, I'll have made it. I'll be fine, I'll get out of trouble. And we'll do over 1 million this year. And it's all made here in Australia, which is, I'm super proud of it as well, with robotics, machinery. There's no barrier to making things in this country if you have the gear. You just have to be in. We are incredibly innovative at the moment and continue to be, and have been for years, and we lead the market. We drive where it's going. We're not following anybody. People are following us, and we come up with things that are going to be the next thing in audio, video, filmmaking, etc. This is my hobby. I love it, and I'm just going to continue to do that, and that you can't beat. That's real. I make products that I want to buy. And so do the people here. You know, they're all users of the product. And yeah, the quality, the innovation, everything else, that's vital. And making it here, it makes me so proud to show that you can do it. It's machines that run 24/7 with our people. Even though we have a huge amount of staff and we'll end up with hundreds more here, the labour or time to make things is automatic. So when somebody says, oh, well, how do you compete with China with the labour prices or any other place? I go, easy, we have no labour. These big companies who have the money, they don't invest in machinery. They think they can get it outside, and they've actually found to their detriment that they can't now. And I have $30 million worth of robotics here. You wouldn't go and buy it in one hit. I did it over 30 years. It's cutting-edge technology, science. You know, from where we were, where I didn't have a bench drill, you know, to this ridiculously high-end technology and machinery. So it's just getting more open for people to produce art. That's exciting, and that's what our job is, to come up with tools and help people be creative, help them achieve their aims, goals, to create art. To be honoured with an Order of Australia is incredible. I can't believe it. Especially, you know, as coming from overseas, a little kid, couldn't speak English, bombed out of school, screwed up business, did everything wrong, made every mistake he can make twice probably, and then to be recognised as a high-end, awesome businessman who knows innovation, so special. People think money is the goal. That's not the goal. You need enough. But you know, there's so many more things in life that are important. Personal success, that's the thing. And if that's entrepreneurially based, awesome. Believe in yourself, but never give up. The best thing that happened to me was to fall down, because I realised anybody can fall. And when you realise that you're not as clever as you think you are, and it's very hard to do business or achieve something, and now to have RØDE to become one of the biggest companies in the world in what we do, it's just a thrill. I can't believe it. And it's my love, it's my passion. So, yeah, I achieved more than I ever dreamt.
Coming up, we get back to Oobi getting productivity tips from time stylers. Plus, we get some business tips from the grounds of Alexandria. If you know what's good for you, you'll stay right here. Earlier, we heard from Alexandra Riggs, founder of Oobi, a children's clothing brand based in Sydney. We asked Kate Christie to talk to her about maximising productivity and how best to focus.
In terms of the way you're managing your day, do you have a good sense of how your day plays out?
No, not really, to be honest with you. It's, you know, I mean, it could be anything, a photo shoot. When you're talking about, you know, bringing children in for a shoot or something like that, anything can happen. And so you have to be prepared for a few curveballs or whatever. But that's also an excuse for not having a more structured timeline to my day. I totally get that. And I think that it would be easy to set up a lot more structure.
Think about your time as money. Mm-hmm. We all have a dollar value on our time, and by understanding what that value is, you can then make a really good assessment as to whether a particular task is the best use of your time. If your hourly rate was $50 an hour and you spend an hour a day on Facebook, that's $18,250 of your time a year.
Wow.
So is that the best use of your time? So just for maybe 1 or 2 days, get a timesheet, and from the moment you get up in the morning to the moment you go to bed, just map every single thing you do in 5 or 10 minutes.
So after I've done it?
No, during the day. What it's going to show you is exactly where you're spending your time each day. It's going to show you where the interruptions are coming from. It's going to show you who's distracting you or what's distracting you. It's going to show where you have high bursts of energy and you're productive. It's going to show you where you're less energetic, and that's where you could be doing more process-driven work.
Okay.
Because if you don't know in detail how you're spending your time every day, you can't know what changes you can make to gain that control.
Once you have that context, I think you can then see what's more valuable.
Try it for a couple of days, your productivity will go through the roof.
I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
What great tips Kate Christie shared with Alex from Oobi. And they're things anyone can put into place today. After all, you've got the same amount of hours in a day as Beyonce, and she reckons she's changing the world, so you can too. I, for one, I'm a bit of a morning person, have to be. So doing anything useful after 5 p.m. for me is just out of the question.
So I'm Ramsey from the grounds, and my top tips are you got to be true to yourself. You got to be willing to do what's true to you. You got to be willing to create what you want to create. When you first start a business, you're always creative. You always think about, okay, what do you want to create? What do you want to build? But it's what true success comes from is be able to continuously create and innovate and make the business better. You got to always be able to think about your customer and how you can serve them better. You got to understand your finances. This was a big one. Understand your finances, set up red flags. And what I mean by that is you got your turnover and you got your margin and you got your profitability. You got to set up red flags every week, every day to see where you're going, whether you're traveling north, south, east or west. This is a big one you got to understand. And you also, a big thing for me is have great people working for you. And what I mean by that is you got to have people that believe in what you want to do. And you got to have people that fit into your values. Now, a big thing with me is you got to be willing to learn, you got to be willing to create, and you got to be willing to become the best you can be.
Coming up after the break, I answer one of your burning business questions. Be there or be square. Thanks so much for tuning in today. What an action-packed show, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. How great was Peter Friedman, who said, if you smile, you'll sell it. Simple advice that gets to the heart of what being a small business owner is all about. But it's not over just yet. I can't wait to get stuck into Ask Kochie with a really interesting question from one of our viewers. It could be you. But first, a quick tech tip from Valquin.
Now you can keep track of your progress, maximize productivity, and simplify many of the day-to-day tasks your business must accomplish with tools like these. First up, Google Analytics is a great tool to measure your website's success. Using this dashboard, you can see page views, session times, and set goals to see if people are getting to certain pages on your site, like your product services page. Next is Bitly, a link management tool letting you shorten, share, manage, and analyze links from around the web. Finally, there's Microsoft Project. It helps users create projects, track tasks, and report results, and includes your team's schedules and finances.
Hello, welcome back to the Man Cave and Ask Kochie, where we answer your burning business questions. This year, we're doing things a little differently and have asked you to send in questions via video. Let's check out the first one from Annalise Allen.
Hi Kochie, my name is Annalise Allen and I am from Honeybell Waterwear. I have a question about PR today. I am a startup business with really limited funds, so doing my own PR efforts. I found heaps of templates online about how to write a press release, but there's not a lot of information online about how to find certain journalists' names and contact details, and also about what time of day or what day of week I should be contacting them. Love it if you could give me some advice on how best to get my press releases and content out to journalists.
Great question, Annalise. Lots of small businesses will just send a blanket email to a huge list of journos, hoping someone will pick it up. We see it all the time at KBB, but creating a targeted media list is the real key here. First up, you'll need to invest some time into creating that list. Research the type of publications your audience is reading or watching. You're a small business creating fashionable, sun-protective clothing, so be sure to target regular business and startup journalists, plus fashion and health journalists. Look at health, fashion and small business sections of newspapers, women's magazines, and online small business sites like KBB. At the beginning of every magazine, there's a list of editors and contact details, and the same goes for every section of the newspaper. Online publications will have details in the Contact Us page, but if you can't find them, call and ask for the direct email or phone for journalists you want to target. Also, stalk them on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook as well, and sometimes you can build a relationship up with them online. My sister does that with her shop. It's also a good idea to send your press release on Monday morning so editors can plan content for the week ahead. Avoid sending anything on a Friday or the weekend. You don't want it to get overlooked. My team of journos always prefer an email first so the information is there on paper and can be referred to easily. If you haven't heard back in a couple of days, don't be afraid to follow up with a phone call. Now, let me tell you, journalists are notoriously time poor and always disorganised, all right? That's a bit of inside information, including me. So your release needs to be snappy, unique and clear, and quirky if you can. Don't forget to include images and, most importantly, your contact details so they can follow up. Look at a calendar of events too. For your business, for example, summer is coming up and Skin Cancer Action Week is the beginning of summer every year. This year it's November 20 to 26. You could ramp up your pitching before then so journalists know you're available to comment and share your story. And Elise, hopefully that helps. For more business resources, be sure to join our weekly newsletter at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au. Let us know how you go. Coming up on next week's show, cash is king. We find out how to improve your cash flow. Catch up with the awesome crown designer Victoria Novak and get some business lessons from an Aussie legend.